We have a winner in the 2020 edition of IBM's Call for Code. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Daniel Krook, IBM's CTO, Call for Code. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Of course, I was going to say I should have said welcome back. Let's start at the beginning though. Explain the mission of IBM's Call for Code and give us a quick rundown of the history, please.
Sure. Call for Code we launched in 2018, a multi-year program in partnership with the Linux Foundation, United Nations Human Rights Office, and David Clark Cause. And the goal is to inspire developers, 24 million developers in the world, to look at important humanitarian challenges and take them on by creating open source solutions that can be used and contributed to and scaled around the world. And we just finished our third year of the program. And the previous 2 years, we focused on natural disasters, natural hazards, disaster resiliency. Last year, we added a focus on health and well-being in the context of disasters. And this year, we launched with a focus on climate change in February. But we quickly realized that we needed to add a second parallel track for COVID-19. So we just wrapped up the third year of the program, and we announced 5 winners earlier this week in both of those tracks.
So let's drill down on it then a little bit. The 2020 challenge, what were the categories? And maybe you mentioned that to some extent, but like, what are some of the notable entries that you had?
Sure. So in the climate change track and COVID-19, we had 3 sub-themes. And what we do as IBM is we create starter kits for each of the areas to give developers a way to take that abstract issue like climate change or the pandemic and define some use cases where they could get started to build applications. So for climate change, we looked at water sustainability, energy sustainability, disaster resiliency. And then on the COVID side, we looked at the social and business impact. So what can people build around community cooperation, crisis communications, and remote education? So in the top 5, we had 2 applications for climate change, 3 for COVID, and some of them include a application for small farmers, which we'll hear about a little bit later. And also we had one for folks doing shopping online to understand the carbon impact of what they're buying. So if something's overnight shipping, what does that really mean? And is there a way you can offset your impact of that decision? One for managing remote education, for keeping children's schedules together, and an application for connecting small businesses to funding. Came from some students in Australia, amazing application there. And SafeQ, which you may have heard about from earlier this year. We recognized it in May during our accelerated timeline. And that's an application for managing lines outside of businesses, or potentially used for voter advocacy groups to manage how folks safely distance while they're waiting to go do something or get some resources.
What do winners win?
So all 5 folks, they get a cash prize. They also get support from the Linux Foundation to help them build a sustainable open source community around the project. So obviously we also do more for the top winner, which includes a $200,000 cash prize. And we pulled together a set of IBM volunteers, experts in hardware, software, user experience, business development, to help take that idea, strengthen it, and test it and deploy it somewhere in the world.
All right, let's talk about your top prize winner. Please introduce your guest.
Yeah, so we have somebody, a co-founder of the Agrily team with us. She's from Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. I hope I didn't massacre that too bad. But she's also the managing director of the deployment of that application in Asia, in Mongolia. So welcome, Chimka.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, welcome, Chimka, and congratulations. Tell us about the history of your project and your team, and all the work that you and your team put into to build your winning entry.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, we are so excited, so happy to win for Call for Code. It's very shocking. We're still in our shock, I think. So like how we started is that I was on a Fulbright program in New York at Pace University. I was focusing on more MBA in entrepreneurial studies. But before then, I had a lot of projects, social projects in rural areas. And then also I was born in the easternmost province of Mongolia. It's called Sukbatar. And then I was more interested in working in rural area people. So at the end of my year at MBA program, at second year, I was more interested in researching in rural areas. So I just take that capstone course on entrepreneurship implementation. So I started interviewing with real rural farmers, actually, rural people, and what is the potential solution, what is to the challenges they're facing, etc. And then I found really interesting challenges, which is in agriculture and also climate change. So I was like, really like committed in working more and more, like whenever I talk to rural people. So I know Manuela and Ajenka from Pace University. I had several projects, including Toastmasters, and then also one Zurich Enterprise Challenge last year with Manuela. So we had a lot of fun with the project. So like we were discussing about something we could do after our program, because 3 of us were graduating in May, basically. So I just told them this idea that I'm working on. You know, I was so enthusiastic. Like whenever I talk to people, I was like really excited. And then they were also excited because they said like, look, you know, we know this one, you know, Call for Code, because they participated the last year, and then that's how we made the group. And then we decided, okay, climate change and agriculture and helping rural farmers, and then we're gonna do it. But basically, the one thing was like really, you know, just enticing me, was like really, you know, just like attracting me to this field, was like I was the child of rural farmer when I was a child. My grandma, she had this farming, because I remember that like when I was 6, like I used to steal all these tomatoes, which was green, and then I was scolded by my grandma. So, but like I remember that one night there was a really heavy rain that destroyed entire field and greenhouse of my grandma, and we were crying in the morning because my grandma used to rely on, like whole family actually rely on the selling the crops. So like I just really like, you know, knew what the problem the rural farmers, because you know this is your income resource. And then like, you know, if it's not really working well because of the challenges of the climate change, like what are you gonna do? So that really attracted me to the field more and more. And then just, you know, even after 20 years, like still that's the same problem was facing by these farmers. So that's why I just like decided to tackle this challenge together with my team, Ajenka and Manuela. They're really skilled people. They're really fun to work together. And then also Call for Code. I think this is the best competition I was ever in, because that was exactly what I wanted to create, you know? So that was aligning well with my vision. That's the really, so that's the end, because like I don't know, like I couldn't imagine that we were winning, but we really won. So like for last few days we couldn't believe it. Whenever we talk, like we're not dreaming, right? We just ask each other like that.
Well, you're definitely not dreaming, but you certainly have a very contagious enthusiasm and spirit. Tell us actually, Chimka, what does your app do?
So basically like our app didn't really born with our ideas. Like we asked like a lot of interviews, those farmers. So like first we decided to create something very simple and easy to use. So right now we have different functions that helps farmers to connect with each other. And then they have like specific locations. You know, I'm from the eastern part, like I can connect with farmers from the western part within Mongolia. And then maybe later I can connect with different country farmers, and then just, you know, exchange know-hows, different information, make friends, make comments, take pictures, something like that. And also we have weather function that gives the short and long-term predictions for the data, the weather data. So they can just, farmers can really predict, see all the prediction in the future, and then they can take maybe preventions. If you know the long-term weather trends in Mongolia, it's gonna help us a lot to what to do now. So you can start planning very efficiently. And also we are trying to generate the list of the crops that if I'm in rural area farmer, I can just say, maybe I wanna try something new crop. Like, what is the information? What is the requirement? I want to know. And then this is Agroli can help them. And then they can see oh, this is my specific location. This is my risk for the weather. And then depending on that, you're going to have the list of the crops that you can try and test in your communities.
Well, congratulations, Chimka. Aggerly sounds like a really great addition all across the board. Daniel, how can we find out more about Call for Code, and maybe if somebody's interested in participating and as lucky as Chimka to have all their work recognized, how do they do that?
Yeah, so even though the competition is over, we're looking forward to folks contributing to help improve Agrily and the application that they built. And of course, look out for next year's Call for Code competition, where maybe you listening to this could, be the winner next year. So if you go to developer.ibm.com/call for code, you can see the video, the demo of what the winning team as well as the runners up built. And you can subscribe to the mailing list to get alerts about next year's competition, as well as how you can contribute to these projects, these sustainable open source projects, and be part of the community. So we're really looking forward to having yet another year of Call for Code next year. And we're really excited about applications like Agrily, which were, as you heard from Chimka, inspired by real problems and taking IBM and open source technology, putting into an easy to use package, and being able to align that with a roadmap where we can improve it as an open source project. So we're really excited to work with the Agrily team as the winning team and lead a deployment. And maybe we'll see each other in person in Mongolia at some point, Chimka.
Chimka Monkbuyer, co-founder of Agrily Farmers App and managing director for Asia. If somebody wants to maybe find your app, Chimka, maybe they want to connect with you and find out more about how you did this, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can just find us on LinkedIn and also Instagram, Agrolly. It's Agrolly. But like if you cannot remember the name of like agricultural ally. So that's the name comes from. So you will remember Agrolly.
Oh, sounds great. And congratulations again. And Daniel Krook, IBM CTO, Call for Code. Same for you, Daniel. If somebody wants to connect with you, how can they do that?
You find me on Twitter. So my handle is pretty simple. It's just my name without a space. So Daniel Krook. Connect with me, tag me, and there's also links to other stuff from my Twitter profile.
Sounds great. And thank you both. And find more of my interviews right here or at tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.